watch what's approaching. The supreme moment, reality striking closer than it seems, don't it? Go ahead, it's for the taking if you want it. If not, the dream dies and you'll be forever haunted. Then confront it.
What's good? I'm actually surprised. I never showcased this guy at 100% potential, but I think it all works out at the very end because, of course, Transforming Cooler came out, and I did pull my last copy of this unit off the banner, so it's a perfect occasion to test this unit out. And, you know, to wrap things up early, this guy is still a crazy good beast on whatever categories he falls on. I mean, you know, this is obviously still a great unit and plenty of uses. The great thing about it is you can, you know, have the same rotation with the Transforming Cooler. Even after its transformation, it all works out. So very, very good unit still, producing some pretty good numbers, honestly, because of, you know, the link up with the Transforming Cooler. And you're going to see that throughout the video. That's one of the main focuses that I wanted to keep when showcasing this unit. So similar to the format as always, let's cover the stats and then we'll go into some of the more details here and there. Of course, this is the Extreme Physical Type Final Form Cooler unit. Leader skill is the monotype of Extreme Physical types get Ki +3, HP attack and defense increase of 120%, and then Super Physical types get that Ki +1, HP attack and defense increase of 50%. Eventually, these guys will also get the EZA. Probably in the course of 2020 is when we'll see that. The super attack will cause immense damage to enemy and also greatly lowers defense. The passive skill is an attack and defense increase of 100%. Launches an additional attack, which has a chance to become a super attack as well. Links are very good for this unit as well. Strongest Clan in Space, Ki +2, Thirst for Conquest, 15% to attack big bad bosses, 25% to attack and defense when HP is 80% or below. Shocking Speed is also +2 Ki. Universe is most malevolent, 15% to attack. Metamorphosis, 5% HP recovery, and Fierce Battle is 15% to attack. Whatever team you decide to run this guy on, he does well. Movie Bosses, Transformation Boost, Wicked Bloodline, and Conquest of Terra. All four of those categories are very good in my opinion. And 100% potential maxed out, you're looking at HP of 16,525, attack is 15,950, and defense is 9,475. 12 key multiplier is 140%. Again, I do want to remind you guys that the Transforming Cooler unit, before the active skill is initiated for the transformation itself, the unit provides Transformation Boost category allies Ki +2, attack and defense increase of 30% when facing one enemy. And then when facing 2 or more enemies, Conquest of Terra category allies get Ki +2, attack and defense increase of 50%. So along with all the various links that this unit shares with the physical version of Final Form Cooler, you're looking at a pretty good substantial increase from the passive support as well. So there is going to be some of the footage based on the transformed version of the Strength Cooler, but for the most part, you are going to see the first form or prior to the transformation, basically. So that's pretty much the format there, and yeah, I mean, Cooler is definitely hitting for some pretty good numbers, and the attack stats definitely seem higher than previously was, in my opinion, because I mean, I ran this guy a lot on various teams, and you know, I definitely do see an influx in some of the attack stats based on just having this unit linked up with the, you know, Transforming Cooler unit. So definitely very enjoyable rotations, and honestly, it's crazy because this Conquest of Terror and Transformation Boost dual category setup, there are a lot of there's actually a lot of good passive support units that can actually hit for a pretty decent amount. So, you know, of course, like some of these are interchangeable, like the Extreme Intelligence Meta Cooler. Obviously, if you have the Agility version, it's definitely better, but you know, with the EZA, the intelligence version is also pretty good now, and can certainly fit the bill on a variety of teams. And of course, you have the, you know, physical type Kid Buu with the EZA, phenomenal support. But in terms of, you know, links, when you're facing 2 or more enemies, obviously Transforming Cooler is better because the link sets are better with the physical version. So it's quite interesting. I mean, obviously you have Turles as well, great support. You know, definitely some good skill sets, and Turles is actually producing some pretty good numbers as well. So quite a bit of a category this is. It's pretty crazy how good this team orientation is, and I'm loving every second of it right now. And definitely do want to test out some decent selection of units out of this, you know, new setup. It's great because you can run a combination of Conquest of Terra and Transformation Boost. So for units that fall under both categories, regardless of what the situation is against a certain number of enemies, you're still getting some sort of boost, and having such a unit like Transforming Cooler provide the attack stats and reduction to enemies' attack and defense, as well as decent enough defensive output. It makes things a lot easier instead of purely running a supporting unit on the rotation. You know what I mean? So it's definitely a game changer in my opinion. I mean, it's made this team setup like really, really diverse and interesting, and it's quite versatile in my opinion. Like, the problem you're gonna have if you have a good deck is figuring out which units to actually include, because you have so many good units that could fall into a first team. You know what I mean? So you could actually probably have like a second string and third string type deal and do just fine. That's how good this category is in my opinion. I did try to mix things up a little bit with a variety of different events just to see how this guy does on different scenarios, and of course I had to pick out certain events that did include multiple enemies. That way we could at least see that the full boost from the 50% from the strength cooler. You know what I mean? So this is actually interesting right here. You've got the normal version of Cooler final form, and then the metal version of Cooler. So it's like, I mean, you could technically run a full Cooler team. You would have to include like some of the free-to-play Meta Cooler units based on type, because their names are different, obviously. But it'd be interesting to see, once Golden Cooler comes out with the Super Dragon Ball Heroes banner, just running a full Cooler team. That's actually going to be very cool in my opinion. No pun intended. I didn't even catch myself, but you get the drift. But yeah, overall, this unit does very well. I mean, still to this day. I mean, I think what's surprising to a lot of people is, it's hard to realize how old this unit actually is. And if we take a look, let me actually look. This unit was released on JP on March 1st of 2017, and then August 29th of 2017. So it's been like pretty much 2.5 years since this unit has come out, and still to this day, probably one of the best, out of the group in terms of 120% leads that I typically still run on a regular basis. Like movie bosses or Wicked Bloodline, even this new Conquest of Terra category, I run this guy on a pretty regular basis on those categories, and he never lets me down. You know what I mean? The only thing that is somewhat of a liability at times, especially on the tougher battle settings, is probably his defense. But granted, he still gets 100% increase to the defense from the passive skill. He does still do pretty well. I think what definitely hurts him is the overall defensive stats. It's 9,475 currently, so once the EZA happens eventually, and it will, it's just a matter of when it happens, but when it does, his stats are obviously going to be improved, and skill sets will probably improve as well. You're probably going to most likely see 100% increase to whatever increase in percentage bases, maybe some additional skill sets on top of that, additional attack ability, stuff like that. So this will definitely be a very interesting unit to see with the EZA. And we could, the list can go on about whatever the units will be, according to the type. There are certain units that need improvement over others, and we're not going to go into details here because, it's pretty much a showcase for this Final Form Cooler unit. But, when we get there, we'll get there. You know what I mean? That's pretty much probably the best way to put it. But yeah, I mean, this guy is still very, very good. He's a beast on whatever teams he goes on. I mean, he's a pretty sick bastard. You know what I mean? So I'm sure, it's common knowledge at this point. Everybody knows how good he is, and how good he still is probably the appropriate way to talk about him. And, the Transforming Cooler coming out only helps this guy. Initially, I was a little bit worried, with the transformation, like if it would lead to any hiccups with links or whatever, but it doesn't seem to be the case, and that's certainly a good thing. What's weird about that is, like, whenever there's a transforming unit and they transform into whatever their second state or final state is, the units tend to not have any link issues with other units that are similar or have the same name type deal. So, it's a pretty cool feature. I'm glad they did that. I guess I don't know if it's a bug or not, but if it isn't, it's good that they had that in mind when applying new or introducing new units. It definitely makes things a lot easier. So as you saw, the transformed version of Strength Cooler was in the rotation in the last one, and they do quite well together. And honestly, it's kind of fun to run them together. It's kind of meant to be in a way. So I'm loving this category. Honestly, it's a lot of fun, a lot of good units, a lot of good production. Overall synergy with the team is great. Like, everybody links well together. Everybody, for the most part, has thirst for conquest if they're on the Conquest of Terra category. A lot of good supporting units, powerhouses, defensively good units, you name it. So it's a solid category. It's probably becoming quickly one of my favorites in the game right now. So hopefully you enjoyed the video for the showcase for the 100% potential physical type Final Form Cooler unit. As always, definitely appreciate you watching, and definitely stay tuned for the next one. I got some other stuff coming up, so stay tuned for that. All right, I'll catch you guys later.